When you mention Tai Chi, many people will conjure images in their mind of old people in the park sneaking up on trees. The complete name of the exercise and martial arts system that they're practicing in the park is called Tai Chi Chuan, and it's often abbreviated as Tai Chi. However, the word Tai Chi actually refers to the philosophy upon which the martial art and exercise system is based. Taiji or Tai Chi literally translates as supreme polarity or ultimate duality. It sometimes is translated as the supreme ultimate, and when we consider that the word Chuan often means fist or martial art, see how some people would like to translate it as supreme ultimate boxing. In fact, it's probably better translated as the martial art or exercise system which bases its philosophy on the philosophy of Tai Chi. Now, the Tai Chi symbol, commonly known in the West as the yin-yang diagram, is a graphical reference to the dualistic nature of the phenomenal universe as described in many Eastern and even some Western philosophies. There are some essential yin-yang concepts that will help to clarify what Tai Chi philosophy is all about. Everything in the universe can be described in terms of yin and yang. The concept of yin and yang originated in ancient Chinese philosophy and metaphysics, which describes the two primal, opposing, complementary, and mutually dependent principles defining all things in the universe. Examples of yin and yang are up and down, yes and no, north and south, existing and non-existing, hot and cold, masculine and feminine, high and low, me and not me, past, present, and future, ad infinitum. Ad finitum. Anyway. Well, all forces in the universe can be described as having yin and yang aspects. In Western culture, yin and yang are sometimes inaccurately portrayed as corresponding to evil and good, respectively. Whether a thing can be described as either yin and yang depends entirely on what is compared and upon the context of the comparison. For example, hot is yang relative to cold, and tall is yang relative to short. But it would be inappropriate to say that tall is yang relative to cold, or that short is yin relative to hot. A rock is heavy and hard compared to a helium balloon. So in this respect, the rock is yang relative to the balloon. But the balloon may be bigger and higher than the rock, and in terms of altitude and size, the balloon is yang relative to the rock. So yin and yang refer to aspects and qualities or perspectives on a thing, but not the thing itself. Anything that can be described can only be described relative to something else. And that which can be described is only an aspect or nature in principle. Nothing that can be described has any inherent existence. The dualistic nature of things is therefore an illusion. What we perceive as a reality is only reality as it is perceived. The entire phenomenal universe does not exist except as an aspect of that which cannot be described. This is where the concept of non-dualistic source of all things comes into play. Some essential principles regarding yin and yang. Neither yin nor yang are absolute. They exist only relative to each other. And no one thing is completely yin or completely yang. Each contains seeds of its opposite. Plus, yin and yang are mutually dependent. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot have existing without non-existing. You cannot have past without future. You cannot have present without past and future. Day does not exist without night, light does not exist without darkness, and death is defined by life, and vice versa. Anything that can be measured can also be divided. So while I might be yang relative to the rest of the universe, internally I embody both yin and yang. So yin and yang should be harmonized within myself if I am to be more yang relative to the universe. Yin and yang can consume and produce each other. Something that is yin can become yang, and something that is yang can become yin. A tree starts out being very soft and flexible, and as it gets older and bigger, becomes more yang, becomes taller, becomes stronger. And that height makes it vulnerable to wind and lightning, and its hardness makes it brittle, and eventually will lead to its decay and becoming more yin. Part of yin is in yang and part of yang is in yin. As in the Tai Chi symbol, yin and yang can each contain aspects of each other. For example, if you consider a baby sitting at the side of the road, naked except for a diaper, and crying for its mother, this will inspire a great deal of concern and care on the part of any passerby. So a baby in a diaper sitting at the side of the road, while it is very vulnerable, that vulnerability inspires concern and care. Anybody passing by will immediately pick the baby up and take it to a hospital or to the police and start looking for the parent's mother and finding a way to care for it. By contrast, something not as yin as a baby, for instance, a 45-year-old 200-pound man, sitting on the sidewalk, naked except for a diaper, crying for his mother, will not inspire the same sort of compassion and concern. In fact, he may inspire a certain amount of fear and trepidation, and rather than inspiring people to look after him and care for him, will inspire a few phone calls to the police and cause people to cross to the other side of the street. Now, Tai Chi itself is relative to a thing called Wu Chi. Wu Chi means no extremity or no duality, and refers to what is often called emptiness or the void. Now, this infinite nothingness from which all things come is the sort of a fundamental, unchanging singular reality. Wu Ji is a term also associated with a state of consciousness in which the observer is not distinguishable from the observed. Not only is the observer indistinguishable, but all that is observed is undifferentiated in the mind of the observer. So this is the experience of being one with the universe. This is a state of consciousness which is usually achieved through disciplined practice and training of the mind. But you may also spontaneously experience this state of consciousness, as may happen to any individual on occasion. Now, any science, philosophy, psychology, or religion that discusses the nature of reality will eventually arrive at the impassable point in the conversation. Some things are unknown, others are unknowable. And other things that are knowable are unnameable. The very attempt to describe them takes the listener away from the truth. This is a long-standing joke in the Taoist philosophy. In the Tao Te Ching, the author, Lao Tzu, starts the book with the words, "The Tao that can be spoken of is not the eternal Tao. The way that can be spoken of is not the eternal truth." He then proceeds to talk about it for 88 chapters. Is Tai Chi a religion? Is Tai Chi philosophy a religion? Well, no. It's not a religion, it's a philosophical concept. And it's independent of any religious concept, although it's compatible and has been co-opted by more than one religion. The philosophy of yin and yang is an ancient method describing the dualistic nature of the universe. The philosophical description has been used by intellectuals of all religions and by those with no religion. The yin-yang symbol is also an expression of the ideal harmonious relationships that humans can have with each other and with the natural world. For centuries, the term Tao was used by philosophers of many religions in many different groups, including Buddhists, Taoists, Confucianists, doctors, politicians, military strategists, and martial artists. By the 12th century, religious forms of Taoism began to co-opt the term Tao. Today, the term Tao and the yin-yang symbol are often used outside of the religious context and are referred to in many streams of thought in Asia and around the world.